Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us. Coming up on the programme this evening.
Truly a hero who will forever be in our hearts. Tributes to the former soldier from Cheshire, shot dead fighting in Ukraine.
A sense of shock that this was somebody who has a connection with this community. A sense of sadness.
Hacked and out of pocket by thousands of pounds, a businesswoman's warning about social media.
The Voice, Russell Watson, sings for a cause close to his heart and for us.
How Doug stopped a concert in its tracks with his crowd surfing. He earned a bump on the head and a meeting with a rock star.
I've made 60,000 people smile at the time. I'm still smiling now. I hope everybody in front of, who sees me now is smiling.
Many thanks indeed for joining us this evening. Well, first tonight, the family of a former soldier from Cheshire who was killed while fighting in Ukraine say he will be forever in their hearts.
Yeah, the Ukrainian government described Jordan Gatley as a true hero. Mel Barham's been following developments for us on this. And Mel, this sad news emerged in a social media post from Jordan's family.
That's right, Lucy. The news was broken by Jordan's dad in a Facebook post on Saturday night. He confirmed that Jordan had been fatally shot on the front line whilst defending the Ukrainian city of Severodonetsk in the east of the country. That's been the scene of intense fighting in recent days. Jordan had been a serving member of the British Army. It's understood he'd been a rifleman with the Edinburgh-based 3rd Battalion of the Rifles. But in March this year, he'd decided to leave the army, as Dad put it, to continue his career as a soldier in other areas. His dad goes on to explain that the war in Ukraine had begun, and after careful consideration, he decided to go out to help, and apparently he'd been helping to train up the Ukrainian forces. Well, in that statement, his dad said Jordan and his team were so proud of the work they were doing, and he often told me that the missions they were going on were dangerous but necessary. He loved his job, and we are so proud of him. He truly was a hero and will forever be in our hearts.
And Mel, the Ukrainian authorities have also paid tribute, haven't they?
That's right, Gamal. One of President Zelensky's advisors, no less, has posted a tribute praising his bravery. He said it takes a lot of courage to leave home and go 1,000 miles to defend what you believe in, just because the heart says so, because you can't stand the evil. Jordan Gatley was a true hero. We will always remember his contribution to the protection of Ukraine and the free world.
And Mel, what more do we know about him?
Well, we understand that Jordan actually grew up in Glossop, but his family recently moved to Cheshire, and I have spent much of the day today in the small village of Church Minshall near Nantwich, where his dad still lives, speaking to the community there. The church has been open today for people to go in and reflect and pray. They've also lit a candle amongst their commemorative war memorials. The vicar telling me this is an incredibly close-knit community who will be devastated to hear this news.
A sense of shock that this was somebody who has a connection with this community. A sense of sadness. A sense in some ways, I suppose, of that is really quite some sacrifice to make.
Yeah, quite some sacrifice. His father has said he was loved not only obviously by him and his family and friends, but by the team out in Ukraine, and that he made a massive difference to so many people. A true hero.
Mel, thank you. Well, more news now, and a man's been charged with murder after a 15-year-old boy died and his mother was seriously injured in North Manchester.
Yeah, no pleas were entered. Emma Sweeney sent us this report from outside courts.
Today's hearing at Manchester Magistrates Court lasted for just 2 minutes. Wearing a grey tracksuit, 44-year-old Suleiman Altav stood in the dock as the charges against him were read out. He's accused of murdering 15-year-old Jakub Szymanski and the attempted murder of the boy's mother, Katarzyna Bastek, at a house in Miles Platting last Thursday night. He's also accused of possessing a knife in a public place. Now, members of the victim's family watched on from the public gallery during today's short hearing. Mr. Altaf, of no fixed abode, spoke only to confirm his name and age. He's been remanded in custody and will next appear before Manchester Crown Court tomorrow.
Emma Sweeney with that report. Well, next tonight, it is the long-awaited plan that the government hopes will make the country's food supply more resilient and create high-skilled jobs in the farming industry.
But at a time when many families from the northwest say they're struggling to put a balanced meal on the table, what should we make of the UK's first ever food strategy?
The government's own food advisor said the plans fell short of what was needed to protect people's health. Our political correspondent, Leisha Benally, reports.
The Big Help Food Club in Kirkby is a long way from Westminster, but they have a food strategy of their own. Get healthy, affordable meals onto families' tables.
So our food clubs are here to help people stretch their money. So they can come and they can do a £3.50 shop, and that will allow them to get about £20 worth of food. And they can choose from fresh and frozen food, and that allows them to make a more nutritious meal at the end of the day.
But demand is stacking up. The Big Help project runs 11 food clubs and 7 food banks across Merseyside. Last year, they fed 86,000 people in Knowsley alone. That's more than half the population.
You see a lot more people who are working full-time and are unable to meet their food payment that they need for the week. So they're either going short themselves on food, or their children are going short on food, or they've got pets. And that's why they come to us. I think if I was to describe the scale of the need, it would be unimaginable.
But how do you steer a country through a crisis where food bank use has become a fact of life?
I've driven a lot of tractors in my... Yeah, I have.
The government's answer? Drive down prices through increased productivity. At a farm this morning, the Prime Minister unveiled the country's first ever food strategy, where the plans include growing more so that our supplies are less vulnerable to world events like the war in Ukraine, consulting on whether public sector places like schools and hospitals should spend more of their budgets to source food locally, and investing in new technology to increase productivity.
Putting money into modernisation, into innovation. Now that cuts costs, and what it also does is in the end it cuts costs for the consumer as well. We're supporting families, as you know, £1,200 for the 8 million most vulnerable households, another £400 to help everybody with the cost of energy. But we've also got to find ways of cutting costs of food and cutting costs of food production.
But critics say this won't cut through to the heart of the crisis, that the plan doesn't address climate issues or tackle health inequalities. Plans for a salt and sugar tax appear to have been shelved for now, and the recommendation to expand free school meals remains only under review. The MP for Oldham says it's a massive wasted opportunity.
What's been brought forward isn't a plan, it's not a strategy. And I think the very fact that the government's lead advisor on the National Food Strategy has come out in such a criticising way really demonstrates just how really this falls short. And so we need to see a plan, we need to see the cost of living crisis tackled, but we also need to see a plan that puts healthy food on people's table.
Back in Kirkby, Tony predicts the charity sector will still have to fill in the gaps.
When we talk about a cost of living, it's quite confusing because we're talking about people surviving here. I would be hugely worried if even some of the towns that are within the area that I cover, if they haven't got a food club, I'm wondering how we can put one in there.
The plan promises to grow the economy, but with implications for climate change, jobs and the nation's health, some fear the ambitions have come up short. Leisha McNally, ITV News.
Yeah, if you have views on that, we'd really like to hear them, a subject no doubt we will be going back to. Well, next tonight, are you on social media? It's rare these days to find someone who isn't, and a businesswoman from Chorley is calling for social media companies to do more to protect all those people after her Facebook account was hacked and thousands of pounds stolen.
Yeah, but that isn't the worst of it. Graphic and disturbing images were posted on her page, and more than a week on, she remains locked out.
Yeah, this will strike fear into many of us. Claire Hannah reports.
Susie Orr has been on Facebook since 2005, like most of us, posting pictures of days out and walks with the dog. But one evening last week, her husband noticed something different.
He held his phone up to me, which I couldn't really see, and I said, it looks like pornography, that. And he said, it's worse than that. They included child pornography, and there was a live beheading on there as well. So it really distressing images.
But there was more to come. Her account is linked to her business account.
It was the following day that I opened my account to actually check a payment that was due in, and £2,100 had gone out of my business account.
Susie did have the highest security settings, but this is one way hackers are getting in. They're managing to post obscene content to lock you out of your account so they can fleece it. And experts agree the social media companies do need to do more.
They have so many, literally billions of users around the world, that you are talking about a massive undertaking here. So they're always going to struggle, I think, to tackle this problem. But ultimately, they're a victim of their own success to some extent. And the fact that they have so many users, that they really need to kind of come up with better solutions than I think they have at the moment.
We have been in touch with Facebook. Incidentally, the address of their headquarters is 1 Hacker Way. No response as yet, and Susie is still locked out.
Okay, so here we go. There's Facebook.
But determined to stop this happening to other people.
Some good has got to come out of it. So if it's just me getting some of the women that I know out there to check their accounts, or making people think about, backing up the photographs, I am really wary of social media now. It's really knocked me for six.
Claire Hannah, ITV News, Chorley.
OK, still to come tonight.
Following in his dad's footsteps, football's new £51 million man.
And if Monday's got you feeling a little bit like this, don't worry, summer's on its way. The forecast is coming up.
I did look a bit like that first this morning. OK, let's
Monday blues.
Yes, just a bit. Let's take a look at what's coming up now on the ITV News with Mary. Coming up in the programme, the latest on one family's fight to keep their son on life support. The High Court has ruled 12-year-old Archie is brain dead, but his mother says they will appeal. A last-minute intervention from the palace stops Prince Andrew from appearing at another big royal event. And
let's get everyone home. Good luck, Captain.
Becoming Buzz Lightyear will be live on the red carpet for the spin-off all about the Space Ranger. Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, next tonight, a man who for a long time was known simply as The Voice, Russell Watson, and a special night this Wednesday featuring that amazing voice of his.
Yeah, Russell Watson's always been a great favourite of ours on Granada Reports. This concert is specially at Bridgewater Hall to raise money for the Teenage Cancer Trust. Now, that's a charity very close to his heart. He himself had treatment for a brain tumour, which he feared he might not survive.
Yeah, thankfully mine wasn't cancerous. It was a benign, fast-growing, fibrous tumour.
But you were very seriously ill.
Yeah, I nearly died. I went to bed one night, the tumour hemorrhaged, and I didn't wake up the next morning. Imagine tipping that on its head and then that becoming parents looking at their children who are really, really poorly, who have cancer and could potentially die. It's a harrowing thought.
What do you think the most important thing that you can do for those kids?
I think what the charity does and what it specialises in is having specific people who vouch for the needs of those young people. So by that I mean people who will know specifically what the kids are going through. Another thing is getting young people together who are going through the same experience so that they can have conversations with other kids who are going through that same experience. There's nothing more cathartic, there's nothing more helpful when you're not well as talking to somebody else who's going through exactly the same issues as you are.
So what can you tell us about this concert and how can our viewers get involved?
The concert is basically, it's at the Bridgewater Hall. It's Wednesday night. It's going to be a collection of all my favourite tunes over the last 20 odd years. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be talks, obviously, about the charity and what it does and how it operates. It's just going to be a great fun night. But don't forget as well, you can go to the Teenage Cancer Trust website and make a donation. If you can't make it to the concert, that's fine. Make a donation to the charity. They've had a really, really tough time as well over the last couple of years as well with COVID.
This is going to be a very moving night for you, I would think. Is there one song in particular that you're looking forward to singing?
I know some of the people that are going to be out there. I think it will be massively emotionally charged, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be one particular song that's going to represent how I feel emotionally on that night. I think the fact that there's going to be so many people there that we can potentially help, and that's what this is all about. This is such an incredibly important charity.
Do you have a favourite song?
I mean, the big favourites like Volare, O Sole Mio, You Raise Me Up.
Have you got a taste for our viewers, for what's in store for your audience?
You mean you want me to sing?
Yeah. I do want you to sing. We do want you to sing.
That's the problem with being a singer. Wherever you go, everybody wants you to sing. As a footballer, you know, people maybe want an autograph and a selfie, but they don't give you a ball and say, kick that around for 5 minutes.
Don't be shy.
All right, okay. Che bella cosa, una giornata e sole, un'aria serena dopo una tempesta, per l'aria fresca, parreggiana festa, che bella cosa, una giornata e sole, ma nato sole. Sole mio, sta in fronte a te, no sole mio, sta in fronte a te, sta in fronte a te.
Oh, God,
Russell Watson.
Thank you.
We are not worthy.
Fantastic. Russell, thank you.
I mean, if we closed our eyes, we could have been in Venice, couldn't we?
We love that. I'm surprised you didn't join in.
Yeah.
Loving it so much.
Yeah, thoroughly decent chap as well. Such a lovely bloke. Just so you know, that concert at the Bridgewater Hall for the Teenage Cancer Trust is this Wednesday night. More details about it on our website, the usual address, itv.com/Granada.
Yeah, so great to see a performer of that stature back on stage.
Absolutely.
OK, let's move on to sport now. And Erling Haaland is now officially a Manchester City player, Mike.
He is. How on earth am I supposed to follow that? That was just incredible.
Start singing.
No,
I promise
start
I won't
singing.
sing. Yes, we knew the deal was done, but today it became official, and this is what he looks like in a Manchester City shirt. Erling Haaland says today is a proud day for him and his family after he signed a 5-year contract with the Premier League champions. The 21-year-old, whose father Alf Inge played for City 20 years ago, has cost the Blues £51 million. David Chisnell reports.
From boyhood supporter to their newest striker, Erling Haaland's transfer to Manchester City finally became official today. It's a special moment for the 21-year-old who's been a City fan ever since his dad Alf Inge Haaland played for the club 20 years ago.
And it's a good tackle by the Manchester City captain.
And following in his father's footsteps was a big factor in his £51 million move from German club Borussia Dortmund.
First of all, my father, a little bit. I was born in England. I've been a City fan my whole life. I know a lot about the club. I feel a bit home here. Also, I think I can develop and get the best out of my game in City.
After the departure of the club's record goal scorer Sergio Aguero last summer, City have played most of this season without a regular striker up front. And while there are many questions about how Haaland will fit into their system, the Norwegian international doesn't think he'll have a problem adapting.
Yeah, of course. If not, I wouldn't come here. Yeah, it's. I like the style. I like the attacking football. I like the kind of positive vibe we have when City play football. This is what I like a lot. Yeah, I think it's a really good fit.
Well, Haaland's strike record at Dortmund makes impressive reading with 86 goals in 89 appearances. Rather worryingly for his opponents, he feels he can improve and believes the City boss Pep Guardiola is the best man to get the best out of him.
I've spoken a little bit with him, and we both look forward to work together. I think I can develop a lot under Pep and in this club. So I think I can get better on a lot of things, and hopefully I can score a lot of goals.
City won their 4th Premier League title in 5 years this season, and the bookies have them favourites to make it 5 in 6. And while the club want to maintain their domestic dominance, they hope Haaland is the missing link to them becoming kings of Europe and winning the one trophy that has so far eluded them, the Champions League. David Chisnell, ITV News, Manchester.
Well, meanwhile, Liverpool have agreed a deal with Benfica to sign forward Darwin Núñez. The Portuguese side announced the news earlier. The 22-year-old Uruguay international will cost the Reds an initial £64 million, with add-ons taking the potential final price to £85.5 million. Tributes continue to be paid to the father and son who died after a crash at the TT races on the Isle of Man. Roger Stockton, who was 56, and his son Bradley Stockton, who was 21, died after an incident during a sidecar race on Friday. Their team, Dennis Menace Racing, paid tribute to Roger and Bradley, who were from Crewe, and revealed that the team will no longer race following the accident. Meanwhile, race organisers have confirmed comprehensive investigations are being carried out for each of the serious accidents that occurred at the TT. Recommendations will be made on how the event will be delivered in the future. There were 5 deaths at this year's TT. Finally, to rugby league and the St Helens legend who made history over the weekend. Saints captain James Roby made his 455th Super League appearance, surpassing Kevin Sinfield as the player to record the most league appearances in the summer era.
It took a long time and a lot of hard work to obviously get this jersey and that guard of honour. So really, I'm just trying to take it all in. Do you know what I mean? It's such a special thing, especially before the game as well. Take it in and obviously say thank you and stuff like that. And then obviously you've got to kind of switch your focus and get on with the game.
And he scored as well as Saints beat Hull KR to extend their lead at the top of Super League. So a good weekend for James Roby.
He must be exhausted. Like me. Mike, thank you very much. Now, everyone has been talking about the Killers gig in Manchester at the weekend. They've also been talking about the man who stole the show, Doug James from Sale, who is now an unexpected star of the internet.
He certainly is. The 67-year-old decided to do a spot of crowd surfing, which led to the band stopping their sets to allow lead singer Brandon Flowers to pop down and meet our Doug. And since Saturday, he's become a worldwide hit. He's been talking to Paul Cray.
Feet back on terra firma today, 67-year-old Doug James still can't quite take in his Saturday night fever moment. At the Killers concert, Doug decided to crowd surf to the front of the stage at the Emirates Old Trafford.
Once you're up, you've got to go. You've just got to put your trust in the crowd and go for it and enjoy it. And I was well supported because, and you could feel that. I only thought I was going to go about 10 yards. And then, you just sort of think you get half dropped or whatever and you stand up. But no, so I thought, oh, I start swimming. So I started swimming.
But then the crowd ran out. Doug's surfing came to an abrupt end and he banged his head as he fell to the ground, prompting the Killers' lead singer Brandon Flowers to halt the gig and check on Doug's health in person with a massive hug.
It just meant a lot, didn't it? When two people hug, it's great. I loved what you did, and I'm sort of like saying to him, I love what you're doing. It is that. It's like a bonding, if you like.
By now, Doug had been nicknamed Billy by the crowd, and once Brandon Flowers had got back on stage...
I said, Billy, what are you doing? You know what he said? He said, I'm enjoying myself.
And the hugs were still happening at home in Sale this morning, as son and dad were remembering their Saturday night out with a difference.
I was having fun, getting him forward. And then I was trying to keep up with him because he was going quite fast and I was there. I need to stay with him. I can't leave him. So I was chasing after him. Going, he's my dad. Can I come through and move in the crowd?
My apologies, Brandon, for stopping the show. My apologies for that. but it was great, and I hope I gave a little bit to it. I've made 60,000 people smile at the time. I'm still smiling now. I hope everybody in front of, who sees me now is smiling, because it's a great thing to do to make people smile.
The 67-year-old's next concert is seeing Swan Lake. But please, 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 Doug, no surfing at the ballet. It won't go down well. Paul Crone, ITV News.
Yeah, you can't keep up with a dad like that.
We're all smiling. Here's Joe.
Now that is brew weather.
And only boiling what she needs.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Big up you, sis.
Thank you. Good evening. A little bit of cloud around today, but temperatures are hotting up over the next few days. It'll peak on Friday with a really hot day for our part of the world and then freshen up again into the weekend. In general, the next few days will be dry. There'll be some sunshine around, hopefully. 1 or 2 showers here and there, and that very hot day to come on Friday with high pressure building in and a hot plume of air from the continent. The hottest temperatures will be in the south of the country, but for northern England, perhaps 30 Celsius on Friday before temperatures revert back to a seasonal average for Saturday and Sunday, and will feel a good deal fresher in comparison. Back to this evening's details, and for northwest England and the Isle of Man, a quiet night to come. Bits and pieces of cloud, maybe some drizzle in the air, but it should be a dry night with a very gentle breeze. And away from towns and cities in the countryside, maybe down to 6 or 7 Celsius, but most places staying in double figures overnight tonight, certainly in built-up areas. On to tomorrow, and first of all, the sun times. It'll be rising tomorrow at 20 to 5, setting at 9:42. Tuesday will start on a much brighter note than today did. There'll be perhaps 1 or 2 very isolated showers for Cumbria and Lancashire, but in general, it's a dry day with bright or sunny spells, a little bit more cloud building later, and perhaps just 1 or 2 showers you could come across tomorrow afternoon, but mostly dry conditions. Again, a very gentle breeze, and temperatures will gently rise to around 20 Celsius, 68 Fahrenheit tomorrow afternoon. Looking ahead, those temperatures will rise day on day, a little bit of cloud around here and there on Wednesday and Thursday, and the threat of the odd isolated shower. By Friday, things get very hot, 28, 29, perhaps 30 Celsius, with showers later on in the day on Friday.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
2 sugars, please.
Oh, lovely.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
And pollen levels will be rising as well as the temperatures over the next few days. Very high grass pollen for Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Take care. I'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Joe. Before we go, our warmest congratulations to Martin Hibbert, who was seriously injured in the Manchester Arena bombing. He joins us tomorrow to tell us how he's conquered the summit of Africa's highest mountain in his wheelchair.
5 years on from when I could hardly move in hospital, and here I am 5 years later at the top of Kilimanjaro.
Martin took on the challenge because he wanted to move mountains for disabled people.
He's already raised around £500,000, but is hoping more donations might double that for the Spinal Injuries Association.
He is an incredibly remarkable and inspirational guy, so it's going to be an interview that is definitely worth watching. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.